Is Xianyun mid? One line answer, no. Xianyun is the newest character in Genshin Impact and a really niche one. Now, why do I say that she is niche? To understand that, we have to delve into her kit. Xianyun is an anemo unit who is a plunge buffer and enabler, and also a healer. Using her elemental skill, she can leap into the air 3 times and then plunges down on enemies doing absolutely fucking nothing because she is a support unit. Unless you wanna build her as a DPS. However, her skill isn't totally useless as it generates 5 energy particles as well as buffs the plunging attack crit rate of party members based on the number of enemies hit with the skill. Max crit rate you can get this way is 10% when hitting 4 enemies and minimum is 4% when hitting a single enemy. And let's be honest, that is going to be the case most of the times, at least in the spiral abyss. You know what would have been cooler than buffing crit rate? Grouping enemies. Imagine that. Anyway, back to the main topic. Her elemental burst is literally an anemo energy ball which does AoE anemo damage while healing the entire party continuously based on Xianyun's total attack. While the burst is active, nearby active characters gain increased jump height, basically turning everyone into Shao. Additionally, their plunging damage receives a boost accompanied by an extra AoE anemo hit per plunge. Now, her kit does have some issues which I'll discuss in a later section, but that being said, I would recommend leveling up her burst only if you don't want to invest a lot of resources. You can also level up her skill, but the damage it does is not so much in my opinion, so it's not worth investing. As for her normals, I wouldn't recommend leveling them at any constellation since they are pretty much useless. Now let's discuss artifacts, and the best artifact set depends on the team you are running. If the team's main DPS is Pyro, Cryo, Hydro or Electro, basically units which can swirl with Anemo, then 4-piece VV is the best since the 4-piece effect will help in increasing the damage. However, for teams where the main DPS is Geo, Anemo or Dendro, I would recommend Song of Days Past or Noblesse Oblige since you can't really make use of the 4-piece VV effect in those teams. As for the stats, running full attack is best if you can get to at least 180% ER minimum through weapons and substat. Otherwise, an ER Sands along with an attack goblet and circlet is the best. Do keep in mind that 180 ER requirement is only if she's the solo Anemo unit in the team. Otherwise, you'll be fine with 150 for dual Anemo and 120 for triple Anemo. Moving on to her weapons. Her signature weapon is obviously the best in slot, at least among the 5 stars, since it gives a lot of attack while also buffing plunging damage as well as giving extra energy to Xianyun per plunge. However, I wouldn't recommend this weapon unless you really like this unit and want her at her full potential. The 4-star best in slot for her would be Oath on Eye, which was an event reward back in 2.5. The ER this weapon gives is insane, as well as giving a lot of attack. However, if you weren't playing during the 2.5 event, then Favonius Codex is an amazing option for you since it does give 45% ER and also extra energy particles through its passive. The full list of her weapons based on usability is displayed on screen. Now let's discuss teams, and I would first like to discuss a certain unit who's been on cloud 9 since Xianyun's announcement, and that unit is Furina. Since Furina's kit revolves around HP changes, Xianyun is literally a godsend for her. Xianyun's continuous healing along with Furina's buffs will make your damage go through the fucking roof, and this combo isn't just restricted to plunge based comps. No. You can use this duo as a general purpose healer and buffer in any team comp. However, if you don't have Furina or Shao or Gaming, then you can use her as a general purpose healer in any team comp or use her with units which can integrate plunge attack into their mechanics. For instance, Hu Tao at C0 requires you to jump after each charge attack to save stamina. With Xianyun in that team, you do a charge attack, jump, hit the enemy with a plunge attack and then repeat the entire process. Xianyun has 2 types of teams she fits in, and her playstyle varies slightly in both team comps. With a plunging unit in team, you wanna drop all your support abilities, switch to Xianyun, use her skill and burst, switch to your main DPS, and then plunge attack those poor hairy trolls to hell. However, in a team where she is just being used as a general healer, meaning you aren't gonna be plunging much, you drop your support abilities, switch to Xianyun, use her burst, follow it up with a skill attack, and then switch to main DPS. Her best team comp is Shao, Furina, Faruzan C6, and Xianyun herself. In this team, you use Furina's abilities, Faruzan's burst and skill, Xianyun's burst and skill, and then burst with Shao for a billion damage per plunge. honestly, the buffs this team gives is off the charts. I recorded an increase of approx 240% in Xiao's plunges with this team, so you can understand why this team is busted. However, if you don't have C6 Faruzan, then you can also use Bennett, considering you don't mind circle impact. Another solid team for her is Gaming instead of Xiao and Bennett instead of Faruzan. I would recommend using C6 Bennett in this team, since you can then continuously vape every plunge attack instead of just vaping every skill attack. In fact, any sword or claymore user which can make use of Benny C6 Pyro Infusion is amazing with Xianyun and Farina, since you can vape continuously. Another unit making a return from the dead is Dilu. You can get up to 150k vape plunges with him, since he has an exceptionally high plunge multiplier and he is a pyro unit, which means he has an inherent advantage over other units which rely on Benny C6 for any sort of pyro damage bonus. Now, if you do want to use her as a general purpose healer, you can run her with Gaming, Benny, and Xingqiu or Shogun Taser, or literally any team you can think of where she can act as the healer. Now let's discuss Constellations, and even she follows the Lewis standard for Constellations. You have C1, which gives an extra skill charge. C2 is super useful as it literally doubles the buff she gives. C4 is absolute trash, and C6 makes her a DPS. Now, before we understand the flaws in her kit, I would like to say that whatever I'm about to yap goes out the window if you just wanna have fun. With that being said, let's get right into it. So we know how Xianyun is a plunge buffer and enabler, but this plunge damage thing immediately makes her a niche unit, cause only Xiao and Gaming can make use of her fully. As for her other problem, she is a 5-star unit whose buffs are outperformed by a 4-star, granted at C6. Xiao, for instance, does 61% more damage in his burst cycle with Xianyun compared to solo burst cycle. But with Faruzan C6, Xiao does 85% more damage. And not to mention, Xianyun's buff lasts for 8 plunges, meaning the last 2 plunges won't be buffed, whereas Faruzan's buff lasts for the entire duration. To close this buff gap between Xianyun and Faruzan, her signature weapon comes into play, which gives 28% plunging damage bonus. Now this is good and all, but we all know how weapon banners are a scam even after the dual pity thing.
Here we go! I swear to fucking God! You have to be fucking kidding me!
Another issue with her buff is that it only buffs plunging damage to a single enemy. So in a group scenario, only one enemy will get that increased damage hit, whereas the rest will get the unbuffed hit. Now that is just an awful gameplay design in my humble opinion. Now let's talk about some real issue. No, not that one. I meant the real issue. So her C1 and C2 are super good, with C1 giving you an additional skill charge, which means more energy, and her C2 increases the buff she gives by more than double. And this is where the downfall begins. Her C4 makes her skill also heal, which to be honest is not really needed, and her C6 makes her a DPS, which is slightly better than C0 Xiao. So basically you paid $1 billion to get a unit to C6, and that unit is slightly better than another unit at C0. Something doesn't sit right with me in that statement, but I will admit C6 DPS Xianyun is actually super fun. But is it worth investing your life savings into? No. And finally, another minor issue which people won't like is no resistance to interruption while using her skill. So if you are trying to fly using the skill, you can be interrupted midway and then you have to do it again. But hey, at least it won't enter cooldown if you're quick about it, unlike some other units. So all in all, Xianyun is really good. Sure, her design is perfect, but she is an incredibly niche unit, and her constellations after C2 are not worth it, unless of course you are a whale and you want that other playstyle which you get with C6. If you liked what you saw, then make sure to like, comment, subscribe, dislike if you dislike it, and I'll see you all next time.